I'm Sahaya Selvam, a Salesian of Don Bosco. I arrived in Nairobi in 1992, and I have worked in Kenya for 10 years and Tanzania for 10 years, and in between I was in Europe for 4 years. Speaking about evangelization of young people, what I find is that I fully agree with what the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, that our own thirst for God comes from the fact that we are created in His image. And so I realized that one of the important things of evangelizing young people is to make them realize the fact that they are in the image of God. And because of that, being in the image of God, there is a restlessness in the human heart. We can call it a hunger, a thirst, and that thirst is to go beyond the self, to go beyond the here and now. And that opens up our own journey towards God. When we take children to baptize them and to catechize them, somehow it's a preliminary way of introducing them to the institutional church. But as young people grow, they ask questions. Why do I do this? What is the meaning of this? Why do I continue to go to church? Secondly, they are also receiving different messages in the media from their friends and in different contexts. And so there are questions that come up in their minds. And therefore, when we can really remind them of that basic desire for God, the God-given desire for God, in a sense, a space in the human heart for God, then I believe evangelization really moves towards catechesis. Now, with that thirst in the human heart, the young person now begins to seek for an experience of God in Jesus. And therefore, evangelization leads to a deep catechesis in terms of mediating an experience of God in Jesus for young people. And the programs of evangelization then have to integrate these elements of mediating, giving them the opportunity to open up themselves to the grace of God, to have an experience of God. And once they have an experience of God, and then whether they go to the university, they go back to their own homes, they go to a workplace, even if they struggle with the challenges of life, they're able to come back to that base, as it were, of that experience of God in Jesus. And liturgy really is an important opportunity, especially the Eucharistic celebration, is an important opportunity for young people to experience God. And so it's part of the evangelization process of young people to have well-prepared liturgy, animated liturgy. Initially, we might have to explain to them the different parts of the Eucharist and to show its link to the Bible, to the Gospel stories. And then, because in the African context, we have also the difficulty that they have with people going to different churches. In Nairobi, for example, we have this whole phenomenon of what we call religious tourism, that young people just go to any church just because their friends are going. And so to appreciate the uniqueness of the Christian tradition, Eucharist becomes a very important element in my experience. Once they have taken through to an intellectual understanding of the Eucharist first, and then experiential aspect of the Eucharist, and then it becomes really interesting for them to be a Catholic, to continue to experience God in Jesus in the context of the Catholic tradition.